Welcome to the Interstate Mets Report with your hosts, Nelson and Chris.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to a beautiful Tuesday evening. It is September 12th, 5 p.m. The Interstate Mets Report is back with episode 20. Today, we have a hot topic of discussion, breaking news. David Stearns is that guy, president of baseball operations official. Nelson, my co-host, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? We finally have a topic to talk about amongst this wreckage of a season. How are you feeling, man? What's the vibes like?
It's all good. Feels exciting to finally get this out of the way. Yeah, we've been speculating on it really for years, not let alone months. But it's been the worst kept secret in baseball has been that Cohen wanted to hire Stearns, and now it's finally over, and it's good to have it done and be able to move forward and get a plan in place for the off season and move from there. Cannot hear you. Oh, no. I think something's wrong with your mic. Still nothing. I just hear static.
Hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right. I don't know what is going on with my mic, but we're having technical difficulties. Anyways, as always, make sure you follow me, follow us, follow the Interstate, the duo on X at Interstate Mets. Make sure you're subscribing to Nelson's YouTube channel at Amish Country Mets Fan. Make sure you're subscribing to my YouTube if you're watching on Nelson's. And if you're watching on mine, make sure you subscribe to Nelson's. Mine is at CPNY Sports. And again, his is at Amish Country Mets Fan. Follow Nelson on X, and we're going to get into your Twitter polls. I saw you released a new one today, and we had some discourse. I know you have some stuff to get off your chest with your Twitter polls as it pertains to people commenting a bunch of nonsense. So we'll get into that. But
people can't read.
I know people can't read. It's okay. But as always, guys, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Drop your comments. Drop how you're feeling. Amongst this terrible season, this 2023 wreckage of a season, we finally have a president of baseball operations, and it's a great day to be a Met. And it's a great day to be a Mets fan. So, yeah, I'm so excited, man. Let's get into it. Like I said, drop those thumbs up. Comment your thoughts. We'll display the comments. Like I said, we're keeping this conversational. Everybody's welcome to drop a comment. Mets fans, how are you feeling? Do you like the move? Do you not like the move? Tell us if you do, if you don't, and why, and we'll have a discussion because we're going to be talking about primarily David Stearns on here. We'll get into some other topics, Buck Showalter, Drew Smith, abysmal. We'll get into that a little bit later. We want to talk about David Stearns because that is what we've been anticipating for so long. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to play this video, and this is my mood, and I think this has been the mood of Mets fans for as long as Steve Cohen's been owner. So here you go.
Pack your bags, sir. Steve Cohen just bought you.
And that is the mood of today. Steve Cohen just bought his new president of baseball operations. Mr. David Stearns is in the house. Nelson, let's get into it. What are your feelings, your initial thoughts, feelings, all of that concerning David Stearns and this hire that we saw today?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'd known this was coming for a while. It's not like it was a big shock. It's just nice to finally have it be official. Although technically can't be totally official till the regular season's over, I guess is what I read. But no, it's good news. Lots of implications, of course. I saw Michael Marino put out a tweet that said that execs around the league and around the Mets aren't sure if Buck is willing himself to come back next year. I guess he's contemplating stepping down, which that would take the decision out of Stearns' hands, of course. And then it would be interesting to see what are the options. I saw I'll get into it in a bit, but I saw John Heyman put out a list a few days ago of potential replacements. I guess Buck in his press conference today said he hasn't spoken to Billy or Steve yet about what's going on, and it's not the time or the place for his mind to go there, or whatever the hell that means. But yeah, man, it feels good. I do have confidence in this dude. I like his track record with Milwaukee. I know some people aren't that impressed. I like it. I'm not going to get too overly excited. It's the Mets. Anything can happen. We know things always tend to go worse than we expect in Mets land, but hopefully this is finally a change. It's nice to have some structure in place. We've never had a president at all of baseball operations. We've had a regular team president in Sandy, but not a president of baseball ops. This is our first one. Martino already said the plan is for Epler to stay. That's not a shock. We kind of knew that would happen. I've seen comments saying that means that Stearns doesn't have autonomy, and that this is a horrible hire if that's the case, and this and that. It's like, what are you talking about? It's been common knowledge that Epler and Stearns are boys, that he was probably going to keep them. It's not like Steve is saying you got to keep Epler. This is Stearns' call. Like, nobody's forcing this dude on Stearns. Like, it's ridiculous. Besides, Epler, for as bad as people like to complain about him, like, he made some solid moves in the at the trade deadline. Like, I think he earned himself a spot at least for one more year. You can argue whether he did that on his own or not. Who the hell knows? Obviously, it would be tampering if Stearns had something to do with it, but I don't think he did. But yeah, man, I have no issues with it. I'm excited. I think Stearns is gonna have some good ideas going forward, and I mean, we got lots to speculate on the moves to go and what the team's gonna look like and management and all that. So I'm pumped. This is a good day to be a Mets fan.
It's a great day to be a Mets fan. It's a great day for us to have some content to provide for you all, talking points, feeling good. Like you said, our front office finally has structure after this long-awaited speculation, not only for months this season when we figured out that the Mets weren't going to be what they were anticipated to be, but also years, because David Stearns has been linked to the New York Mets for years now. So the first part of what you said, and we'll get into some comments here in a bit, but the first part of what you said, I also saw Buck Showalter's press conference. He got a little bit crabby at some of the questions that were coming his way, and he's been a little bit of a crabby manager towards the media this whole entire season. If you know us, if you've been following the Interstate Mets Report, if you've been following our individual Mets takes, you know this is our take. Buck Showalter must go. And I'm getting the vibe. Like I said, I tweeted this out earlier today. I don't think Buck Showalter is going to be the manager next season. I don't think he should be, and I don't think he will. Now, in terms of who replaces him, we already talked about Craig Counsell for a while now. If you wanted to go the internal route, we all know everybody's been throwing out Chavez's name. And I don't know if I would trust a first-year manager to be that guy, but if anybody could do it, I think Eric Chavez could be that role model, that leader, that voice for these young players coming up. But we'll see what happens there. But Buck Showalter's not fit, I don't think, in my opinion, and I think that with what you said in the past episodes, that you don't think you're comfortable with Buck Showalter leading this team and these young guys coming up, especially with the way that he goes about playing time and just overall vibes and confidence in the clubhouse. I think that goes a long way as well. So something is to be said for, having your team's back and the team having your back as well, and having that camaraderie. And by every media report and by every player and their press conferences, they swear that that's not an issue within the clubhouse with Buck Showalter and the team. We're just speculating here as well, but it just doesn't seem like it just seems like there's a fresh start that's needed. So let's get into some comments here. We got AP in the house, a little bit of a troll comment here. AP always providing the jokes for us, keeping the commentary light here.
Listen,
Aaron Rodgers, that was crazy.
I will say this about that. at first I felt really bad, and I'm like, damn, that sucks. Later saw some comments from some Jets fans that were absolutely ridiculous, and I'm like, you know what? You kind of deserve it. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a bad
it
day for
is what it
anyone.
is. I have no ill will towards the Jets. It sucks. He's gone for the year, but I'm not a Jets fan. You're not a Jets fan, so
Yeah, we're
oh
not
well.
concerned about Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you. I mean, we got our own worries with that 40-0 loss that we saw on the weekend. So, let's see. We also got Andre in the house. Stearns hiring was indeed the worst kept secret. We know Buck's faith soon after or faith, I think he meant to say, soon after the season ends. I completely agree. I'm not confident in him being here next year. Whether he wants to or not, that's a different question, but I don't know if he's going to be here. Like I just don't see it. I think Stearns starts fresh. I think he hires his own guy. And we'll see who that may be, but I think it's not going to be Buck Showalter. Jay says very happy. Strategy and stability equals a real organization. Not the fly by your pants we've been the last 30 years. So I completely agree. It starts with the baseball minds at the top. Obviously, Sandy Alderson in the early goings of Steve Cohen's tenure was that guy. We all know how that turned out. And yeah, so I mean, I'm really happy. I think that Epler being and sticking around as GM is less than what people are making it out to be, because we all know that David Stearns is going to be running the show. And talking Mets with Rob earlier on his live stream today, if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. He basically said it best, that regardless of what Epler's quote unquote official title is going to be with the Mets moving forward, with David Stearns now in the picture, essentially Epler's role is going to be fetching David Stearns' coffee and whatever sort of Japanese league or KBO league, recruitment he needs out of Billy Epler. But other than that, I mean, everything else is going to be handled by David Stearns. So don't worry about.
Go that far, but yeah, I get what I get.
I think that's I honestly would go that far. I'm not sure Epler's going to have more of a role than that, but we'll see what happens with the job lineations, and we'll see what happens when the road crosses that path. I should say. Andre says Stearns and Epler have a strong relationship. Yep, that they do. Does Pete stay now and with Stearns in charge? This is a hot topic of the conversation, continues to be and will continue to be. Does Stearns now coming in? I think that, and I'll take this one first and I'll let you go, Nelson. I think that with Stearns now at the helm, I think that this might be more of a reason for Pete to be traded. And I wouldn't be surprised if his name gets floated out there in trade conversations even more. Listen, David Stearns might come in and do some crazy stuff. We know that. And I'm not advocating for a Pete Alonso trade, but when you get a new president of baseball operations, mind in, and I won't call him a mastermind, even though I kind of want to call him a mastermind just to feel even better about the signing. But when you get a new POBO mind in, their philosophy tends to change with what we've seen in the organizations for the last couple of years. So we don't know really how he's going to handle those negotiations with Pete Alonso. So I think that at this point in juncture, because David Stearns is now the president of baseball operations, and we have that mindset to kind of advocate for the Mets in terms of those negotiations with Pete Alonso's camp, I think that it's more grounds for him to, and not more grounds for him to be traded, but maybe a higher percentage of him in the possibility of him being traded. That's my take on it. What is your take on it?
Well, Jeff Passan in the article about Stearns getting hired mentioned that one of Stearns' first orders of business is going to be to feel out the Alonso trade market. So he's not going to just not look into it. And that's him doing his due diligence. Like, that doesn't mean he's going to trade him. That just means he has to do his job and take phone calls and see what the market is for this dude. Because as we've talked about over and over again, we don't know for sure that Alonso wants to stay here. We don't know for sure what the contract negotiations have been like, if he just wants too much money. So if he indeed has a good chance of walking away, the prudent thing to do is to trade him. Now, maybe they work it out. Maybe he they all sit down in a room and they figure it out. But yeah, we don't know what the guy's asking for, so it's the smart thing to do to keep an open mind. So I could definitely see a trade happening. I could see a trade. Now it could go either way. I do expect a big move to be made. I don't know that I consider trading away Alonso that move because of the fact that a lot of fans will see that as a negative. But I think you're going to see, in the same way that Steve Cohen came in and almost immediately traded for Francisco Lindor to kind of send the message. I think you're going to see something like of that nature with Stearns. I don't know what it is. It could be anything, but I think you're going to want to see him make like an impact move. I don't know if it's a free agent move. I don't know if it's a big trade, but I think you're going to see something. And like we've said over and over, we're going to see trades this offseason. We have too many minor league guys that overlap positions. We have to move some pieces around. I think it's going to happen. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting offseason. If I'm wrong, I'd be shocked. Like, I really think the Mets are they may not go out and spend a crap ton of money, but it's going to be, you're going to see a lot of moving pieces this offseason. And I don't think the team next year is going to look a lot like this team. I mean, there's obviously certain pieces that are going to be there, but it's going to look pretty different next year. And I'm excited for that.
I think that's a great point. I think that as soon as David Stearns comes in, it's going to be like a stunt on the entire league kind of move and be like, hey, listen, you saw a glimpse of what I could do in Milwaukee as a GM, as one of those front office minds or whatever he was serving as over there. But I think that they're going to say, hey, listen, now I have Steve Cohen's I have his full arsenal of money, right? That's one thing, but I also have his full permission to do what I need to do as the president of baseball operations to guide this team to becoming a contender. And I think that we will see that move. And I agree with you. It may not be Pete Alonso being traded. It might be a little bit more of a PR friendly move. And I think that Andre hit it here on the head. It could be a trade for Corbin Burns because that situation is tightly linked. Now I want to prop up this because I made this really quickly before, and this is what I've been advocating for a long time. This is the rotation that I want to see moving forward in 2024, and I want to get all your guys' opinions. I want to get your opinion, Nelson, as well. What do you think about a 2024 starting rotation for the New York Mets on opening day that looks like this? You got Vassell filling out the 5th spot, internal promotion. You got Yamamoto, Burns via trade, which could be that big move, and your mainstays already, Senga and Quintana. I think that this is a fantastic rotation on paper. Obviously, everything on paper is what it is, but I just don't see. I love that rotation, to be honest with you. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's a solid rotation. I can't argue with that. My only thing is, don't be so sure that the Mets are going to get Corbin Burns. Milwaukee's not going to try to do us any favors. I don't think they're too happy with this David Stearns situation, as evidenced by some of the leaks with the Pete Alonso talks a couple months ago. I don't know that they're going to be in the mood to like help us out. Like, maybe obviously they're not just going to turn us down. Maybe a trade can be worked out, but some tells me that they'd be more likely to try to hold us over a barrel and ask for the moon for Burns. And I don't think Stearns is that dumb. I think he will hold his ground. So just don't be so sure that I get the connection. Obviously there's going to be Milwaukee connections and there's going to be guys that we're going to be linked to there. It's just, I don't think it's going to be as easy as just some might think. But if we can pull that off, I love it. Like Yamamoto he's been a guy that we've all wanted. I don't know if we want to just jump into that with the Yamamoto update. That whole thing with the Yankees and first off, that report is like from some Japanese report, and it was like the Google Translate on that was like so ridiculous. Like it like contradicted itself in places. Like, I don't know that I take too much stock in that one. Do I think the Yankees will be involved? Probably. Do I expect the Yankees to throw a huge bag at him and not have any like hesitation with the whole luxury tax thing? They haven't proven that. They've proven that they are very strict about going over that one luxury tax line. And I mean, that could change, I guess, but I haven't seen it change. This trade deadline, we definitely saw them not do anything kind of because of that. So if it comes to a bidding war, I think if Steve Cohen really wants the guy, he's going to get him. He's got more money than everybody else. It's just, I guess, what we deem his value to be. Maybe we just make the Yankees pay more than they want and we let them have. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But there was a report today, too, that there was like 20-something other teams at that scouting him that day, too. So everybody is interested in Yamamoto. It's not just the Yankees. We're going to have a lot of competition. I just think Stearns and Epler kind of have the inside track because of Epler's Japanese background, because of Senga being here. So I do still think we have the inside track there, but we'll see. But no, I back to the rotation real quick. Yeah, hopefully Vassell is ready and to take that 5th spot. I would love to see it. He's been great in AAA. I don't want to see Peterson and McGill again. I just don't think they're that good. I obviously love Senga and Quintana. He's been pretty good. So I think if that is the rotation going forward, I think we're in good shape, depending on what the offense looks like. But like you said, it's just on paper, so who knows what can happen, but I like it.
This riles me up. Like this gets me hype right here. This gets me hype because guess what? All these are fantastic, but I think that we don't give Quintana as much credit for how he's performed this season in this dud season. And listen, man, I'm excited for Vassell. I think that obviously you have a lot of flexibility with what you can do in the 5 spot in terms of internal promotions, or if you want to trade for maybe a lower end guy. You could look at maybe a trade for like a Mitch Keller from the Pirates, something of that nature. But listen, Senga, Yamamoto, Burns, I mean, dude, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. And I know this is just highly speculation at this point of the season before we get into the offseason. But this photo riles me up. I love it, and I can't wait for this offseason to commence, truly. But yeah, I completely agree with you. What was that report that came out? I saw you said it was a bogus report. I forgot who it came from. It was something it was something along the lines of the Yankees are preparing to offer Yamamoto
It
somewhere around
wasn't a
5,
bogus
6.
report. It was a Japanese report that was very poorly translated. So I mean, it was from like Yahoo Sports in Japan or something. It just,
Okay.
on the one hand, they like said they were going to offer him like a bigger contract than, I forget who it was, another Japanese pitcher, and I don't know. It was just a weirdly worded article.
I saw 155 million over like 5 or 6 years from the Yankees, and that's what they were preparing to offer. So I don't know. Like I said, all these reports, everyone wants to kind of be right. Everyone wants to throw a dart and be right. So be wary of what you read. We will provide you guys continued updates on our accounts on the Interstate Mets Report, on our personal YouTube. So make sure you're subscribing to those. But yeah, let's get back into some of the comments. I don't know what everyone thinks about this rotation, so let's see if we have any comments on those because I love it. Jay says he likes the rotation as well that we just propped up here as well. Shout out Jay for tuning in. We got M Easy in the house. He's wondering why everybody's propping up Vassell. The only reason why I'm propping up Vassell is because he's been performing in AAA. Honestly, I think he should have already been called up, to be honest with you, to see what he has. And I don't really care who you put in that 5th spot, whether it's Vassell, whether you wait and plug and play until Tidwell's ready, maybe midway through next year. It don't really matter. Trade for a lower end guy, like I just said. It doesn't really matter. But Vassell is probably the front runner in my mind.
Yeah, I will say he has struggled his last 2 starts. He might be running out of gas. I mean, I'm guessing this is the most innings he's pitched probably in his career.
That's natural.
Yeah, it's natural. But I overall, what we've seen from him this season is definitely, I mean, it's big. Like he kind of stepped up from out of nowhere to become one of our top pitching prospects. So it's not necessarily like he's not some can't miss guy. Obviously, we're just saying a fifth spot in the rotation. We're not talking ace with this dude. Like, so it's going to be whoever it is. It's like you said, it's not going to be just given to him. He's probably going to have to battle it out with a few guys. I'm sure we'll find somebody to challenge him as well, but I would like to see him get a fair shot in spring training. That's all I got.
I agree. And then there's going to be, we're not even talking about the sixth spot that we're going to need because Yamamoto is presumably going to be needing an extra day. So there's going to be presumably a spot starter every sixth day, in my humble opinion, at least to start the season off. So I agree with you all. And I guess Andre, says he loves this rotation, but he's not ready. He's been struggling in AAA. I mean, I like the body of work that he's put in AAA this entire season. I get that he's been struggling as of recent, but like you said, this is a fifth starting option, maybe even the sixth. Maybe Vassell, maybe you plug and play somebody else, and you have Vassell as that sixth guy every sixth day. Because perhaps you trot him out in spring training, like you just said, give him a shot in spring training, and he performs well. You just never know. I just can't justify him struggling his last couple starts, and we're just going to write him off saying he's not ready. He's pitched predominantly well the majority of this season, and I think that it's fair that he gets a shot, at least in spring training, like you said. We got depressed Mr. Met in the house. I appreciate you tuning along. What about this? What do you think about this as it pertains to a potential Corbin Burnes trade? What if the Mets took on Yelich and his contract that ends in 2023 along with Mr. Burnes? Yelich is owed $26 million a year, I believe, over the course of the next few years. I think that drops to around 23 in a couple years. I gotta go back and crunch the numbers on that. But he's hitting 274 this season with 17 home runs. I know that's not $26 million per year, probably worthy, but he's a viable option to plug in at a corner outfield spot, presumably left field moving forward as well, depending on what happens with the prospects. What do you think about Yelich coming in and perhaps that being a talking point with the Brewers in the Corbin Burnes trade? Yes or no?
I don't see it. I don't think we're going to want to fill the outfield with other more aging vets. I think we're going to try to keep those spots open for the younger kids coming up. I just, that's what my guess would be. He's not a bad player. He's not the same guy he was when he first got to Milwaukee, but I was gonna say that's a lot. That would take, I don't know what.
It's a lot of years. That's a lot of commitment.
Yeah, that's a lot of. It's a lot. They're gonna want a lot for that. I don't know. I don't see it happening, but who knows? Anything can happen. Obviously, like we said, Stearns has that connection, so he knows what he's looking at. He's seen these guys firsthand. So if he does it, I wouldn't. If he did pull a move like that, I guess I wouldn't feel too negative about it, just because I think he knows what he's doing with these guys. He knows them. He's seen them like up close and personal. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, that's a lot. I was going to say, I just looked at the contract, and it is in 2023 or 2030. He is a unrestricted free agent there. And that's a lot of commitment just to get a pitcher with the calibers of Corbin Burnes. I get the philosophy there, and I get that Yelich is serviceable right now. And he's had a somewhat decent season, albeit this season, but I don't know. I'd have to think on that one a couple more for a little bit more. I don't know. That's a lot of commitment over the next course of 7 years. So Andre says, can see the Mets looking at Glasnow or Bieber as well if they can't strike a deal for Burnes. I'm out on Glasnow. I don't know if I trust him in terms of injuries, his injury history, but Shane Bieber, I could get behind. I could get behind Shane Bieber. I can get behind it. He's a tier below, I would say, a tier below Corbin Burnes in terms of the maximum output you'll get from a starting pitcher. But I can see it happening because you already have Senga, who's proven to be and has proven to have ace type stuff, has had the numbers to back that up as well this year. So however you want to play it. And I think the press Mr. Met is on that wave as well. Glasnow gets just injured too much.
Way too injury prone.
Yeah. Stevie Max in the house. What up, Stevie? He says party time, and he also says it wouldn't be a Mets season without going way over the luxury tax threshold. Yeah, despite all this stuff about the Mets not spending too much, they're still going to be over the luxury tax 100%. I can guarantee
Yeah.
that. This is just not spending. I guess the talk is about not spending as much as the Steve Cohen standard is, right? So, yeah, and I think that we can all get behind that. Let's see here. Yeah, Jay points out what I pointed out too. He's done well in AAA for most of the year. Why wouldn't the Mets give him a chance next year? This is regarding Mike Vasil. I completely agree with you. I think we're on the same page, Jay, Nelson, and myself. I get this point of things is that the Mets can't mess around with that fifth starter spot and afford, an inconsistent starter piece, but you're not going to have a rotation that's full of studs. That's just not feasible. It is not feasible. And you're already going to be taking, like, this team is trending more towards youth movement anyway. So naturally, you're going to have mistakes surrounding that. You have Mauricio, you have Betty, you have Alvarez, you have Jet Williams, we haven't even talked about Jet Williams in this segment. And we weren't even planning on it, but he just got promoted to AA. So congrats to Jet Williams. He's moving and climbing through the ranks. You got all these guys who are coming up. And this is a youth movement. And everybody's complained about, oh, why are we signing dinosaurs? Why are we signing Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer to headline our rotation? We saw how that went. But then on the other side of things, people, I'm not saying that Jung-Hoo's doing that right now. I'm just saying that I can foresee the young kids coming up and making mistakes and that being a point of emphasis. Well, why are we playing so many young guys? It's like, pick a side. We got to pick a side here. And I think that a fifth starter rotation spot is not as big of a deal to give to someone, an up and coming prospect like Mike Vasil. It's not that big of a deal. And like I said, this is just him being in the running for the competition for that fifth spot. And I get his struggles. I get both sides of things and both sides of the argument. So yes, you guys are absolutely correct, but at least give him a shot. You know what I mean? I did not see Bob Nightingale's tweet about Stearns getting hired. Did you see it, Nelson?
Which one? He tweeted a few tweets, but he's, as far as him being condescending, he's, for some reason, I don't know what the Mets did to him, or maybe he just doesn't like Mets fans because we make fun of him all the time. I mean, I think everybody makes fun of him, but the Mets got on him pretty hard, especially over that Trevor Bauer situation. So I don't know if that's it, but he's always condescending towards the Mets. Him and Buster Olney.
Yeah.
They're both horrible. And then you got Martino, who's just a troll in his own right. It's just we need new baseball reporters because these guys suck.
I completely agree. I mean, we all know Buster Olney is a Braves fanatic anyway, so it doesn't really matter there what he puts out. I don't follow him. I don't pay attention to anything he puts out. I mute the TV when he comes up and gives his little spiel on Sunday Night Baseball. I can't stand it. So I don't pay attention to Buster Olney. I'm out on Mike Trout. I'm sorry. I'm out on Mike Trout.
Yeah, too
that
much
ship has
money,
sailed.
too injury prone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's back problems too. Like, it's just that.
We're not questioning his greatness, but
no, for sure, definitely not. It's just that's a scary proposition to get into.
Yep, completely agree. DeGrom started off as a Mets reliever before he became a starter. Current Vasil starting the bullpen. He could. I mean, I'm not saying that the Mets are going to have if you need to backfill or I guess front fill the bullpen for next year because. Listen, I'll just prop up the next little slide here. I don't want anything to do with Drew Smith next year. And this is the next slide is your polls, but we'll talk about Drew Smith here in a second. And what we saw yesterday, I don't want anything to do with Drew Smith. If the Mets keep Drew Smith on this roster for 2024, they are not serious about winning because that guy is not a winner. And I think you agree, Nelson.
Totally. I mean, I haven't. Full disclosure, haven't watched a lot of Mets baseball, but the little bit I've seen lately, I feel like every time I turn on the TV, Drew Smith is in a game and he's blowing it. Like, it's just not that we necessarily losing is a bad thing at this point. It is what it is. We're actually in the top 6 for the whole draft lottery right now, so I think that's a good thing. Yeah, if tanking is what we're trying to do, then he's providing that, doing a good job of that. But I do not want to see him in the bullpen next year. I'm done with him as a Met. Him, Showalter, Gott, they all got to go.
Who's worse? Who's worse, God or Smith?
Oh boy,
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, flip a coin. I mean, they both stink. I'd say probably Gott is a little worse, but I don't have any faith in either one of them.
Yeah, and I mean, just because Drew Smith literally just likes to throw it down the middle, he has a 97, 98 mile per hour fastball that he just literally loves to just serve up right down the middle, and he gets killed. So, if Drew Smith literally got any sort of command under him, I bet you that he'd be at least a halfway decent reliever, but he has no command. He doesn't know where that ball's going. So, interesting question on your boy here, Mr. McNeil. Does he stay or go this offseason?
I don't know. If it were up to me, well, I don't know if he's done. I've wanted him to boost that trade value up. I know he's turned it around a little bit. I don't know if he's done enough to get back to that status where teams are like clamoring for him. Maybe he has. It would depend on what we're getting back. I would definitely float his name out there, but I wouldn't like be like we have to trade him. Like I'm fine with keeping him for the first half of next year and see how that goes. But long term, I don't think McNeil's going to be here for his whole contract. I don't. Maybe it's wishful thinking because I don't really like him all that much. There's just too many positions or too many players for the positions, and I think he could be an odd man out. I just feel that's just my feeling.
I agree. I mean, he hit a home run yesterday. He's hitting 268 in the season, 700 OPS on the dot. Just hasn't been the Jeff McNeil that we all were hoping for, the Mets were hoping for in terms of giving, the Mets that 300 plus season that, getting on base. He hasn't provided that. His defense has been subpar this year as well. I get that he's a super utility man, can play outfield and infield, but like I said, with these prospects coming up, I bet you that this front office, David Stearns, can swing a deal for him, and somebody's going to be willing to take a shot at him or on him. Even given his lackluster season, I bet you someone will do it, and I bet you the Mets will not need to give anybody a discount on Jeff McNeil because I think Jeff McNeil. I know he's been a little bit inconsistent with his seasons, but I think that he's a good pure. He's a slap hitter. We all know he's a slap hitter, but when he's doing that consistently, he'll help a team win ball games. And his defense, usually that versatility, when you add that on to that, you usually have a good ball player in your hands. And it just is. I think it's a lot of mental things with Jeff McNeil. I think we all think that, and we all see it on the field, of course, when he's, screaming F-bombs every time he pops up or grounds out, rolls over. But yeah, I don't see
And
Jeff
truly,
McNeil.
that's the main reason I know people like the fire and the passion and whatnot. And guys, to me, it's just with him, it's too over the top for me, for my liking. That's the whole reason I'm just not a big fan. And the fact that he's so inconsistent. I mean, there's a lot of other players that are too, but I don't know. It just bothers me. And it's just the temper tantrums bug me to no end. But I mean, if he stays, he stays. If he goes, I for the right deal, I'm all for it for sure.
No, I completely agree. Watch Drew Smith go to another team, become a legitimate closer. Like I said, he has the stuff. He just has no command. So I mean, his off speed is not great, but he has a lively fastball. I don't know. It would be
he
the
just
Mets.
needs to not throw it straight down the middle of the plate.
Exactly. Jay says he agrees about McNeil. If you can get younger pitchers or relievers for him, I say do it. Send him off. I agree. I don't think the Mets. That contract really, that 4-year contract that they gave him, really came out of left field. I was not expecting that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that wasn't talked about. It just kind of came up. It was not a bad deal. It's a solid deal. That's another reason I think teams would be interested because it's not like he's getting paid crazy money either. So
yeah,
I could definitely see him getting moved.
I agree with Amizi here. The Mets will miss his versatility if he gets moved, but I just think that, like you said, there's only so many spots to trot him out there in, and he's going to be taking playing time presumably. And like I said, I don't mind McNeil just because I'm not going to knock him for this season having a down season. I think I like his body of work as well. I know that the consistency is still an issue, but listen, at a certain point, you just have to cut your losses and you have to free up roster spots. And, I think McNeil's one of those guys that would be the odd man out, to be honest with you. And I don't see them getting anything of value in return or even finding a trade partner for Starling Marte at this point. So McNeil would have to be the guy, if you get any value out of him, to move him along, because you're not going to get that out of Starling Marte.
We've seen Cohen obviously be willing to just eat money. He ate the Cano contract. He ate a ton of money with Verlander and Scherzer. Do you think if it comes to it, he would just, if nobody wants Marte, he would just cut him and pay him for 2 years of nothing?
I would think that I would see that happening in the last year of his deal, not this year though. I think that they might take a flyer on what he can provide this year, but then when the likes of like a Drew Gilbert are more ready and coming up from AAA or whatever whenever they promote him, because he's in AA right now, then I think that definitely his time is going to be gone. I don't think he plays out his contract as a Met. I think he gets bought out in that 4th year, to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion on that. Let's see here. I got an interesting question here. This is what I want. I'm gonna say this. I am concerned about Brett Beatty. I am very concerned about Brett Beatty. My concern, and I don't want to be concerned about Brett Beatty just because I don't want to jump the gun in terms of, I'm not labeling him a bust or anything, and I think that he will eventually put it together in the major leagues. With the timeline of the Mets moving forward, and them aiming to be contenders, presumably in 2025, and with the likes of the infield being crowded, I don't know if he stays a Met. I don't know. I mean, we talked about this before on the previous episode, Beatty versus Mauricio. I don't know if Beatty is going to remain a Met. I'm concerned about that.
Yeah. If they keep him over the offseason, which I'm guessing they will, just because I don't see his value being that great right now. He's got to turn it around next year. I mean, next year is kind of the make or break year for him. If he can't get it done, then it's probably, not to say he won't be able to get it done and right the ship somewhere else, because we've seen it happen with tons of Mets players. I just don't think it's in the cards. If he can't turn it around next year, I just don't think it's in the cards to happen with us. Might happen with another team. He might go somewhere else, and maybe it's so much as the New York pressure is off of him. Maybe it's just a different hitting coach with a different approach that works better for him. Who knows? But if he doesn't step it up next year, then I could definitely see that next year being his last year here, whether that be a trade deadline move or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you got to worry a little bit, obviously. I mean, he hasn't had a full, I don't think, no, if he barely had a full season worth of baseball in the majors, if he has, it's close. Because last year he came up really late and then he got hurt. And this year he was sent back down a little bit and he didn't come up immediately. So I think he's barely had one full season. So I mean, obviously you got to give him more than 1 year. But at the same time, like, he's looked abysmal. Like, it's been pretty bad. So just got to keep an eye on it. I hope that he turns it around. I really do believe in him. I don't know why. I just do. And yeah, I mean, it would help if Mauricio keeps up doing what he's doing. Would help us, because that makes Beatty a little more expendable, I suppose. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I obviously you got to worry a little bit, but I'm not like you. I'm not ready to just close the door on that quite yet.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Brett Beatty is an interesting topic. I'm not ready to give up on him, but I don't know if he's going to translate in the Mets uniform. And like you said, it could be due to the pressure. It could very well it could be very well due because he's just not going to perform at all in the major leagues, and that happens sometimes, and it would be unfortunate. But I'm not ready to give up on him. I just don't know. Just as pertaining to your question, Andre, I am worried officially about it. About him, I should say. So let's move on to the last topic here. I know we got about 15 minutes left here. Let's talk about your Twitter polls, man. Let's talk about what's been going on with these Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. By the way, follow Amish Country Met on X. He's been running some great polls. Today he released his latest poll. I guess he's I think you filled out your all-time team now. It's just about getting the manager right?
Yeah, so it's been about a little over a week now. I just kind of on a whim decided I would start putting out graphics with players for every position, and we create our own little all-time roster as decided by my ex followers. And it's been fun and got a lot of engagement out of it. It's been cool. I can rattle them off real quick. So the roster itself is Mike Piazza's the catcher, Keith Fernandez first base, Edgardo Alfonso at second, Francisco Lindor at short, David Wright at third, Cleon Jones in left field, Carlos Beltran in center, right field, Darryl Strawberry, bench is Rusty Staub. Doc Gooden is our pitcher. I will make note, he's only our pitcher because Tom Seaver is the GOAT. He's the franchise. He was already going to be the first starter. There was no question in my mind. So we just moved on to who's the pitcher besides Seaver. So it was basically everybody else. And Gooden beat out DeGrom. It was close. A lot of DeGrom love, obviously. And then our closer is Edwin Diaz. Look, a little controversy with some of the picks. I think the Diaz pick is based on his future potential. Obviously, he hasn't put up quite the numbers like a Johnny Franco is our all-time saves leader. Obviously, he got a lot of love as well. It's been fun. And then I get people. It's funny to see people that come in after the fact with the polls because they don't quite understand what's going on. They're like, well, how is Alonso not on the bench? Dude, that's not how we were doing it. The bench, the bench roles were specific players that came off the bench for the Mets all time. Alonso lost out to Keith, so that's what it is. I didn't do a DH because we've only had a DH for a couple years, and to be honest, who are we gonna vote on? Vogelback? He's our only real DH, so he would automatically be the DH. So I wasn't gonna put a DH in there. I did get then I got a comment that said, I forget who the Twitter person was, but they said Buck Showalter has entered the chat and he's gonna put Vogelback in the lineup. And I was like, you know what? We didn't pick a manager. So today I put out a graphic with 8 managers to pick from, and Buck Showalter's on there. Thankfully, nobody voted for him. But yeah,
I would be concerned if they did.
I would too. I did get a comment asking me, oh man, what did they say? Why are we choosing between all these managers? 3 of them are dead and 2 of them are old as hell or something. I'm like, dude, we are not picking. They for some reason thought I was asking people to choose a manager for next year, I guess, or to replace Buck. It was ridiculous. One of the most ridiculous comments I've seen during this whole process, and there's been a lot. JNY can attest because he's kind of participated in all of them. It's just there's been some crazy comments, but it's been fun, man. Looks like Gil Hodges is going to take the manager role. It's been kind of neck and neck between him and Davey Johnson, but I think Gil is edging him out. And then tomorrow we're going to round it out. We're going to do the general manager. That'll be fun because just spoiler alert for whoever's watching, Billy Epler is making the graphic and so is Brody Van Wagner. So I know that's going to piss people off. But then they're legit guys are on there too. Frank Cashin, obviously, Steve Phillips, Omar Minaya, guys like that. But those guys are going to be on the list, so I can't wait to hear the comments on that.
I was gonna say we had this conversation. I told you that it was really hard for me to pick on most of these polls just because a lot of the options were before my time, and I know that they were the right answers and the most consensus, but I just couldn't, I couldn't pick a person that I really didn't watch. I wasn't even alive to watch, in a Mets uniform. So I think, contradictory to what the actual status of your final lineup was, I think I put Jose Reyes for my shortstop. He was my pick.
It was really
Willie
neck and
Randolph.
neck between him and Lindor.
Yeah.
Like, really.
I would have picked Willie Randolph for the manager as well. I think Willie, like you said, I think we're both in a consensus here that he got a little bit of an unfair shake. I bet you a lot of people took Terry Collins on there too. I didn't look at the replies,
Terry.
but
I've seen a lot of Terry love outside of this, but they must have not caught wind of it yet, because I'm surprised that Terry Hive hasn't come at me, because I've gotten into so many arguments about Terry Collins in the past. Listen, I like Terry Collins. I just think he's overrated. That's just the bottom line.
yeah.
But yeah, I personally probably would have gone with Bobby Valentine. It's just who I grew up with. The Mets had some pretty fun teams while he was here. But I can't say that I can't argue with anybody that took Gil Hodges. He makes sense. Davey makes sense too. There's a back and forth on that one. And no, Stevie, I didn't. Mickey Callaway didn't win.
I was gonna say you didn't. Mr. We battled. Mr. We battled didn't win. That's a shock, to be honest with you.
Could you imagine if I'd have put out Mickey Callaway, Louis Rojas? Let's think of another Art Howe, like all these crappy managers.
You would have triggered some people for sure.
Oh, I would have triggered a ton of people.
Jay showing you some love, gained a lot of track.
I appreciate it. Well, am I frozen? Are you frozen? What's going on? Can the chat help me out? Who's having issues here? Is it me? Is it Chris? Can anybody hear us? Shit. Might be me. Nobody's saying anything. Oh, it's Chris. Okay. Well, looks like Chris is gone. Hopefully he comes back. Oh, looks like he's coming back. There he is. You there? Can't hear you. We've been having some major technical Nope, still can't hear you. We've been having some major technical difficulties lately. For some reason, Chris's mic has gone completely. I don't know if anybody else can hear him. I definitely cannot. But anyways, yeah, it's been fun doing the Twitter poll. We got you now, maybe. Hello? You're on mute. Oh, there we go. Yay, we got him back.
Jeez, I need to figure out these technical difficulties of this mic, but yeah, those polls are fun. I did freeze up. Apologies. There we go. Awesome. Michael, fun fact, I have Michael Kadaya's autograph. I actually got his autograph in Baltimore. That's funny. Yeah, it was a fun episode. Like I said, David Stearns is the new president of baseball operations. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Nelson, final words here before we log off. It's a nice little episode. Shout out your Twitter polls as well. Prop that up here while you're giving your final little comments, little speech. Prop you up and take it away, man.
Yeah, man. No, it's an exciting day. Like I said, to be a Mets fan. I know the Mets Jets faction of the fan base is probably still hurting a little bit, but at least you got some good news today. With this, and yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward. Be interested to see. Maybe next episode we can talk about some manager options and whatnot if Buck does indeed go. But yeah, great episode. And if you haven't, go ahead, check out those Twitter or X polls or whatever. It's a fun little experiment we got going on, and we're almost done. Tomorrow's like the last one, so it's been fun doing it. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. If you're over on Chris's channel, you haven't subscribed to me yet, please jump over. after the episode, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, man, I know if you popped in late, we're in our wrong spots right now. I'm under the CPNY Sports. Just flip us around. Yeah, man, good stuff. We'll see. At least it's good that this gave us something to talk about, because we were going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel for topics today. So this was a nice little savior here. So appreciate it. Great show, and let's go Mets, everybody.
Let's go Mets. I definitely agree with you. Subscribe to Nelson's YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube at CPNY Sports. All that good stuff. You know where to find me. Follow me on X and Instagram at CPNY Sports. Lastly, follow us on X at Interstate Mets as well. You can find both of our content there. Yeah, like I said, I'm just going to piggyback what Nelson said. David Stearns is now officially going to be the Mets president of baseball operations. We don't know what's going to happen this offseason. All we know that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen this offseason. We will be here to provide you that. Expect big things, whether it's regarding Pete Alonso, whether it's regarding the starting pitching market. Like Nelson said earlier, expect a big move right away from David Stearns to sort of assert his dominance with Steve Cohen's assets. Fully expect that. I can't wait for the ride. Finally, some stability in the front office. That's what we've been lacking this year. And it's a great day to be a Mets fan. Not a great day to be a Giants fan or a Jets fan, even despite their win. But hopefully week 2 provides us something better. Football content on my channel. Got to get Nelson up on there as well, on the Feeling Blue pod. Talk some football. Hopefully better days ahead. Follow us everywhere. Drop a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate it. Let's go Mets, and let's go David Stearns. And for the one time, let's send it away with Mr. Steve Cohen.
Pack your bags, sir. Steve Cohen just bought you.
Thank you for watching the Interstate Mets Report, streaming Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to @Amish Country